Okay, so for the purposes of this video, we're going to lump survivalist, preppers, militiamen, all into the same category. You know, I'm actually all three of those things. I'm a survivalist, a prepper, and a militiaman. The time that I was in prison, you know, I had a militia-related case, and it was also, I was locked up during COVID, right? And so all this crazy stuff was happening on the television involving militia groups, stuff like that. And so the guards constantly be like, hey, another one of your brothers got arrested, stuff like that. And the guards really had mixed opinions on that stuff because certain guards looked at militia people as like terrorists, and then certain guards were even in militias and stuff like that, right? So you had guards that are like members of like 3%ers, stuff like that. And so you could be treated like a king in there by the guards if you are a militia guy or a prepper or something like that. They like shit like that. Now, I know there's going to be some smart-ass guy in the comment section, and he's going to say, there's no preppers, there's no militiamen in the Florida Department of Corrections. Bullshit. There's preppers in the Florida Department of Corrections. There's militia guys in the Florida Department of Corrections. There's every type of human being you could imagine in the Florida Department of Corrections. Okay, when I was at the Administrative Management Unit, I was there with Macazo, right, which is another guy that I think he's in the Fire Rises, by the way, for you Fire Rises guy. I was in there with Macazo. I was in the same dorm as Macazo, the dude that lit Lil Wayne's car on fire or whatever. Like, I was in there with him. So I was in there with like famous people. I was in there with a dude that like he used to counterfeit expensive wine. He would take $100 bottle of wine, put a different label on it, and act like it was a $3,000 vintage wine. Like counterfeit winemakers, survivalists, preppers, bikers, artists are in there. Extremely good artists are in there. Musicians are in there. People that used to have normal jobs and then one day their wife cheated on them. So don't tell me there's not survivalist, preppers, and militia people in the Florida Department of Corrections, because you see me, I don't look like the typical person you would think as a prison inmate, do I? I mean, when you see me out here in the free world, I'm a prominent citizen out here. I pay my taxes and all that. And you would never assume that I used to be an inmate. But yeah, if you happen to be a survivalist or a prepper and you run afoul with like the ATF or something, the guards are going to be very sympathetic. And another thing is like inmates want to be around that kind of guy. A lot of inmates are fascinated by guns. Most felons own guns. I know people say, oh, felons can't legally own guns. I'm not saying if I own a gun or not. I would never admit to such a thing on camera if I did. But what I am saying is most felons do own guns. So felons like guns. And so they like talking about guns. And they like, you know, conversations about different guns. Like what is this Steyr AUG? And so you'll be watching TV in the day room. And you'll have like Arnold Schwarzenegger will have like a special MP5 or something. And if you're the gun guy, it's like, oh, that's an MPX something, something, something. Like you're going to be that cool guy in the dorm that can tell everybody about guns, and people really want to be around that guy that knows everything about guns, right? Survivalist, actual survivalist, not just a prepper, like a guy that goes out in the woods, he's got pretty good field craft. So if you hand him a piece of metal, he can sharpen it into a knife, you know, on the concrete. Like, you know, these are prison skills. So a survivalist and a prepper is pretty valued in prison. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you know, so the question of like, does a survivalist or a prepper do well in prison? 100%. And I mean, it goes to the bottom. The bottom line is, you know, do you have any weirdo charges? You didn't hurt children or anything like that. Did you snitch on somebody? I mean, always goes back to that with most things. You know, now in terms of like somebody like Stuart Rhodes, again, there's some guards that might hate him because he literally did some shit against the guard. There's some guards in there that probably would make his time hard. I gotta mention like the January 6th guys that went to prison, because I mean that's a big case of a bunch of militia dudes going to prison. And yeah, I'd say for the most part the other inmates in there respected them. Some of the black inmates might have looked at them as racist or whatever. That doesn't mean shit. Okay, there's guys walking around with swastika tattoos in there. So, oh, the black guys in there might think you're racist if you're a militia guy. Newsflash, there's dudes walking around with swastikas tattooed on their forehead in there. That don't mean anything in there. You be whoever you want to be in there. Okay, that doesn't, you know, and I have personal experience with this as a survivalist, as a prepper, as a militiaman, as all three. So if you're one of those things and you're wondering, man, if the ATF ever catches me, I accidentally drill a sear pin, or, yeah, you're probably going to be all right in there. They're going to look at you as one of the cool guys, you know. Former military, they look at you as one of the cool guys. You know, even I did another video on former law enforcement that goes to prison. You guys could watch that. One thing worth mentioning, if you're a militia guy and you literally did like patrolling on the southern border, you might come into conflict with like those MS-13 guys in there. They may not like it. They might feel some type of way about that. But again, it's not a deal breaker. There's way worse people in there. There's actual people that are a threat to their business interests. Gangs give a shit about money. Okay? If 10 years ago you were with a militia and you used to patrol the U.S.-Mexico border, and that's what you did 10 years ago, they're more worried about somebody that's taking money from them now. So if there's somebody that owes them money or something like that, again, you gotta think about these things. The gang's main priority is who is a threat to them now. Not who was a threat to them 10 years ago, who's a threat to them now. And so things you did in your past life, they're just not worried about it like that. The white gangs might protect you, but the white gangs, especially on the West Coast, are allied with the Hispanic groups. So it gets to be like a tricky political situation between, you know, how much do these Hispanics hate you and how much do these white gangs like you? How much money do you have goes into the equation. The truth of the matter is, if there's somebody that's truly hated in there, they can pay their way out of anything. And we see this with Diddy, and that's 100% true. I mean, that's the cold hard truth about prison. You can be as hated as ever in there, but you can pay your way out of the situation. But as a general rule, I would say militia guys, it's one of the cooler things you could go in there as. Like, it's definitely got you get respect in there. It's 100%, like, that's considered a cool thing in there. It's not considered lame. You're definitely, people will like that as a general rule. It can get complicated. Certainly got complicated with me because I wasn't the average militia guy. But yeah, as a general rule, the guards are going to like you. The inmates are going to like you. Survivalists, preppers, militia guys, you'll do fine in prison as long as you just follow the basic rules and don't do anything stupid. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. If you guys like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the merch. Check out the store, all that. Thank you guys for watching. Jordan Jareb signing off.